Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we're going to have a pretty fun show, but before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. This is definitely going to be an interesting one, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. Yesterday, I was listening to an episode from the Math Alpha podcast, right? I'm sure some of you guys who follow this channel will know who that is, right? He has some pretty interesting interviews. But yesterday, when I saw the thumbnail, I saw Dwight Howard. I'm like, wait, they got Dwight Howard? So I'm like, okay, it's somebody that talks about the NBA. I'm like, okay, this should be pretty interesting. So in this particular thumbnail, they were talking about Kobe Bryant versus LeBron. So I clicked on the video to kind of see what Dwight Howard was going to say. So as I was listening to the video, we're going back and forth. And then somewhere along the line, they were talking about like skill and all of that stuff. And then Dwight Howard kind of talked about how, because they asked him who is his top five or whatever it is. And he was like, why doesn't the big man get respect? As you know, Dwight Howard's a big guy. So I think Dwight Howard's playing height was 6'10", 6'11". Anyway, so he then listed Kareem, right? I think as his GOAT. Then they start kind of going back and forth. And then in the midst of all of that, he then says why he believes he believes that Kareem's road to the scoring record is actually more impressive than LeBron's road. And the funny thing is, we put up a poll about this and people thought I was saying this. They thought that this is something that an old head would say. But it turns out it was actually Dwight Howard, who last time I checked is not living in a retirement home, unless you must be a kindergartner watching these videos and if you think Dwight Howard is some old dude. So what we want to do is we want to play this exchange for you guys, and then we're going to come back and react to the comments. So take a listen to what they said here.
Who do you think is the greatest player?
I think it's 1A and 1B with Kareem and Jordan.
Kareem and Jordan?
And then LeBron right there.
And then LeBron right there.
Kobe.
Then Kobe.
Kobe, you put LeBron before Kobe.
It's like they like 2 and 3. Well, 3 and 4, I'm sorry.
Right. Leave it in the comments. I know y'all about to
y'all about to wild
leave
out.
it in the comments. They're going
to say LeBron. Everybody say LeBron.
I think Kobe. They're going to say Kobe. They're going to say Kobe.
You got something that's going to say LeBron, though.
Yeah, I mean, facts, but
it's a lot.
I saw a lot
They
of
don't never put big man. Why is no big man ever put in these categories?
because y'all are closer to the rim, man.
That makes it
too
harder.
easy for
It makes it harder.
It doesn't look like that.
What do you mean?
How does it make it harder?
Okay, so for Kareem to score, how many points? 38,000, something like that, without threes. You don't think that's harder?
Yeah, that's definitely.
He scored the same amount of points LeBron did in less time with no threes and in a different era. You don't think that's harder?
I agree with that.
Even though the basket's right there, it's harder to get to the rim because you're playing against people that's big too. What do you like? And they blocking off the paint. It's not just that easy.
Right.
So I feel like it would be harder to score in the paint than you shooting jump shots and stuff like that because the guy can give you space. But in the paint, it's no space. You got to
Physical
create
contact.
space, and you always fighting for position. You fighting to do everything. You got to jump in the paint.
Right, but there's probably one other person on the court that can actually block you.
That's not true.
Because they
not
beating
true.
you up. The moment you come to the hole, pause, they beating you up.
That's a pause.
Yeah, that's a pause.
What you say after that? Pause that too.
Double pause, but yeah.
Gat, you deserve all.
Hold on.
Nice.
Pause, I'm going to pause this. Once you're a big man, pause. You're going to the hole, you're going to get beat up every time.
Correct.
That's why you got to know those fights. Because you was getting beat up every time you went to the hole.
Well, see, yeah, and then they tell us y'all are strong, so y'all could take the punishment of people hitting y'all and stuff like that. So it might be a little different.
Right.
When the guards go to the hole, they get fouled, they gonna call it. But for us, we get they're not. So it's gonna be. I think it's harder for the
Is
big
that
man
why
to
they say
score.
LeBron flops a lot?
I don't know what
Because
they
that's
say.
my that's my understanding.
That he flopped a lot.
That I feel like, yo, for a big man, you have to like flop
No,
for them to be like, yo, I got it.
They're not going to call a foul. Every time I would flop in a game, you know what everybody say? He too soft, man. He too big. Why is he flopping? Why you flopping, Mike? What you doing? That's what everybody's saying, bro. You got to flop. Everybody telling me, yo, you got to try to let them see that you're getting fouled.
Yeah, right.
That shit don't work.
But that
LeBron, though.
It don't work for LeBron.
Not all the time.
You saw
Not all the time.
What about when they played in Boston? He ran around the whole court crying. and Pat Beverly had the
Came out with the
camera
camera.
like, look, that's a foul. LeBron was on the ground like, please, look, that's a foul.
So you heard what he said. That was Dwight Howard. That wasn't no old heads. And you know what? Now that we're on the subject, let's address it. I heard some things yesterday on the channel because we put up a poll, right? We put up a poll on the channel yesterday. And essentially the question was this. It was a very simple question. Whose run to the NBA scoring record was more impressive? We put LeBron James and we put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Of the 14,000 voters thus far, about 21 hours ago, 40% of them voted for LeBron. 60% of them voted for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So as I was going through the comments, I was hearing something that was really surprising me. And I was surprised that some people are reasoning at this level, to be quite honest with you. Somebody said, because they assumed that it was an old person that said this, right? That was the first assumption that they made. They said, this must be an old head that posted this, right? Right? And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you telling me? And then other people are like, oh, well, how, I can't give an opinion on something I never saw. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are you telling me you cannot give or you cannot understand something about a particular event because you weren't there to see it or you weren't old enough to see it? I'm like, so how do we know about history? I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm trying to figure it out. World War I, it didn't happen because you never saw it. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We don't have history books. We don't have computers. Like, I'm not understanding it. Because what some people were saying was, well, we never saw him play, so it doesn't really matter. No, that you're basically trying to excuse your ignorance. It just means you're uninformed. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that the other person that voted in the other direction is something is wrong with them. That's the first thing. I was surprised that people were taking that position. I was very surprised. Like people were leaving some comments. I'm like, bro, what are we doing here? Like, what kind of reasoning is this? I was quite surprised that we had some people in the comments actually saying that. But anyway, back to the video here. I did my own research because if you listen to Dwight Howard in the video, he said Kareem did it faster. Now, I'm not exactly sure what he meant about that because when I did some research, LeBron was able to break the record in 1,410 games. When Kareem Abdul-Jabbar established it, it took him 1,560 games, right? And then, of course, we did the poll. So there's some people that were saying, but what Kareem did was more impressive because he only shot twos. And LeBron shot a lot of threes. I think last season he was attempting over 7 3-point shots a game or 6.9, some very high volume. So I actually went to Basketball Reference to see, okay, but how many 3-point shots did LeBron attempt in his career? How many 3-point shots did he actually make? And how many points did that contribute to his overall total, right? So I went and looked at it, and it turns out LeBron has attempted 6,563 3-point shots. And and he made 2,261, which translated to about 6,783 points. If you kind of put that across a season, some great players usually score between 1,300 to 1,500 points per season. So on just the 3-point shots alone, LeBron was able to gain some seasons on Kareem because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar only attempted 18 3-point shots in 20 years of basketball, and he only made 1. So of his 38,000, whatever it is, only 3 points were attributed to a 3-point shot, right? So the question is simply this. I'm not going to sit up here and argue back and forth. Who do you think had the more impressive run? Do you think it was Kareem or do you think it was LeBron? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comment section and we catch you on the next show.